It's Sunday morning, and every decent man and woman is listening to Test Miles with Nick Miles on FM News 101 KXL. Buckle in.
And it's time to talk cars for the next 60 minutes or so. It's the weekly automotive experience. I'm Nick Miles, and you're listening to Portland's automotive radio show, Test Miles, locally created, nationally celebrated. Big news this morning out of F1. A big crash happened just a few hours ago. Russia driver Jules Bianchi has suffered a severe head injury after crashing into a recovery vehicle at the Japanese Grand Prix. The latest news is he is in surgery and he will be moved to intensive care. That's what we're being told at this moment in time, but French media reporting he is actually out of surgery and breathing on his own, but no confirmation from the official F1 body. There has been lots of criticism around this race. I think a lot of people think that this is the entertaining part of auto racing. NASCAR, F1 is the accidents, is the terrifying moments. But F1, strangely, has been, or not strangely, I guess, has been one of the safest racing sports out there. They spend millions and millions and millions of dollars on making sure their drivers are safe. So it's unusual that we have such a severe crash as this. Lots of criticism coming from other drivers that the race should not have continued because of water on the track. And unfortunately, the crash happened because a recovery vehicle was on the track. Did you guys, any of you guys watch this? Did you see this?
I did. It sort of reminds me back at the Niki Lauda days when he was racing in Germany.
Right.
Shouldn't have been racing.
Right, exactly. And in fact, he was one of the people who came out during the race and said it should continue.
Oh, really?
Yeah. This is a guy who suffered horrific consequences because of an accident. He's saying that the race should have gone on, and it did go on, and two accidents in the same spot. Both drivers aquaplaned off of the track into the same position.
But doesn't F1 usually race in the rain as well?
Right, but they were saying the conditions of the track were too severe. There was too much water on the track. And you know those F1 tires, if you've been close to an F1 car, they look like just a smooth piece of rubber.
Yeah, I know. They're slicks, but still, I mean, it's not like NASCAR where they cancel the race because of 3 drops. These guys can drive.
Right, they can drive in water, but there was severe water on the track. And the fact is that they had a tractor on the track pulling the first accident out of the way as he came around the corner and plowed directly into that tractor.
Well, as we were watching the aftermath of the wreck, I mean, you even brought it up. There's the flagger out there still waving a green flag.
Absolutely. There is some serious questions need to be asked of the Japanese track this morning about why that race was able to continue. We saw this a couple of weeks ago in the Speeds car race where a driver was killed. He got out of the track because the race wasn't stopped. Again, the Japanese Grand Prix is going to have a lot of questions to answer after Jules Bianchi came off the track and suffered a severe injury. He was unconscious when he was taken out of the car and flown immediately to hospital. Rain had affected early conditions of the race this morning. And isn't it strange how F1 cars are built? In fact, a lot of modern engineering in cars comes from that F1, and F1 cars are built specifically to run into things and fall apart and protect the driver. And it seems to take something like a tractor. If that tractor hadn't been there on the track, he would have gone skidding off and actually gone into the gravel. So he hit the wall and would have hit the wall, which is specially built for that.
Right, it's designed for those impacts.
Lewis Hamilton said he was pretty sad. He won the race, and he was sad at the anticlimax of the win. He said while the recovery vehicles were lifting another car, I'm not sure who the driver was of the first car, out of the way, this vehicle ran into it. And Hamilton saying, wow, how sad that he had to win under those conditions. Now, Sean, you did bring up earlier on, you don't think F1's as big in the United States as it is in the rest of the world?
I don't think it's big here, but I know around the world it's huge, just like soccer. I think it's a limited audience, and here in America, the United States, basically NASCAR overrules it.
Is it a little elite here?
Yeah,
I don't know if it's
Perrier
elite.
water kind of folks.
I think you're probably absolutely right. I mean, F1's a a lot more money involved in F1 than there is, I think, in NASCAR, because the cars are so highly developed. So much money is spent on them, and not to say that NASCAR isn't highly developed, because it definitely is, but it's a different kind of development. But F1, those people that own F1 teams, it is a multi-billion-dollar investment.
And I agree with that, and I respect the sport to death because I know those guys can drive. But I'm just saying, here in the States, I just don't see it as a big following. I mean, half the people don't even talk about the Indy 500 anymore, and that's one of the biggest races here for them.
Although one of the best movies I saw last year was Rush, based on the F1 Niki Lauda races.
Right.
And that was phenomenal. So I was thinking that might get a little bit more buzz for this year's F1 series.
Did you like Rush?
I enjoyed Rush. I actually saw the screening with Sam Moses, friend of ours who covered it for Sports Illustrated at the time. He was at all those races.
You think it was a true depiction of what happened back in the latter days?
Yeah, I think so. And Sam said that most of that was pretty accurate.
So again, if you just joined us this morning, we're talking about an accident that happened just a few hours ago in the Japanese Grand Prix F1, where a driver went off the track and collided with a tractor that was removing another accident. And that driver was from the Marussia team, Jules Bianchi, and he suffered a severe head injury and is reportedly out of surgery and breathing on his own by French media, but those reports haven't been confirmed. Sean and Brad in the studio with us, and as well our new intern, Jenya. Jenya, you were looking into his career. Do you know much about this driver?
Yes. He was a racer for the Ferrari team. I'm trying to find information.
He was a junior racer, right, for Ferrari at the beginning.
Yes, he was, and I believe his second year.
Second year in F1. Has he run it? I think he's won, or he hasn't won any titles this year, but he has had some fairly decent placing. I think he came 9th in one of the Grand Prix already this year, but still a fairly young driver. I know it takes a lot of years for those guys to actually get up to speed to be great drivers. The race was declared over after 45 laps, and they rolled it back to 44 laps after the accident actually happened and the medical team had taken over. And again, we said that Lewis Hamilton actually won the race, but he felt it was very anticlimactic win for him and kind of disappointing. And of course, shocked F1. This is a real big shock for F1 because nobody expects these sort of accidents to happen in F1. Did you find your information?
Yeah. He was born in the 3rd of August in 1989 in Nice, France. He has raced 34 races in his term.
That's not bad in 2 years, I guess. How many, does anyone know how many, I'm not sure how many F1 races there are in the season.
Don't they race all year long, though?
Yes.
I mean,
is there 12? No, it's got, if he's raced 2 years, I think there must be more than 12. I thought there was one a month, but we'll have to find out that too. One of the big issues is that we're talking about water on the track. There's been several calls by other drivers who are asking about 5 laps before this accident happened to have the race closed down because of water on the track. So again, Jules Bianchi from France in serious condition right now in intensive care. Do we notice that things are changing as far as safety? Was there some changes in NASCAR since we had the races, the accidents earlier this year? Or are we just continuing, is everyone just continuing without improving the safety after some of these accidents?
I think they're improving the safety, but I mean, the accidents are just, they're talking about to make the safety. There's always been accidents in car or racing.
So when you're old like I am, you remember the old days of all those guys. So where it's come in the last 30 years is remarkable that some of these people have survived the wrecks that's going on now. So I think it's steadily progressing.
Niki Lauda, he's burnt quite badly up one side of his face, and he lost an ear, right, in 1976 in the German Grand Prix when he had an accident. In fact, he was saying earlier today that after the race was red flagged, after 2 laps, he had believed the race should have continued, even though this is the guy that had a serious accident in 1976 and felt it was not bad enough to warrant the race being called off. The rain was not really an issue. The Mercedes non-executive chairman said, clearly, unfortunately, I wish he could take, or he probably wishes he could take those words back right now.
For an answer to your previous question, there's 19 races a year.
19 races, so that's about one every 2 weeks.
About, yeah.
Yeah, 2-3 weeks.
And all over the world.
Right.
So it's not like it's just in one country.
This was the Japanese Grand Prix. And I'm thinking, because there's only been really 2 majorly serious accidents in the last 30 years in F1. Niki Lauda was one, and then there was one in a warm-up race in the Hungarian Grand Prix a few years ago.
But in the 70s, it'd be like 1 or 2 a year would lose their lives.
And I think that, in the last 30 years, I think that's changed quite significantly since the 80s, and that obviously was not very helpful towards the sport. Still a major sport. I know people here who get up at 2 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning to watch these races. They're very big business, of course, in Europe. If it's the same in the American Grand Prix, everybody's up in the middle of the night to watch it over here. So that fairly big following around the world.
There's a couple of pubs that have viewing parties. It's great fun.
Right. And F1, of course, highly competitive sport. A lot of these guys have to come up through the ranks. And I think probably by the time you're 30, you're kind of done. It's one of those sports where your reaction time is absolutely necessary and amazingly important. All right, so we're catching up with the F1 news this morning. We've still got lots to go. We've got an interview coming up talking about the Ford F-150. We'll be getting into that in a moment or so. Sean and I just headed to Texas for the week, and we spent the week with that new truck. Plus loads more coming up, what we've been driving, and the news quiz still this morning on your favorite car show, Test Miles. I'm Nick Miles.
Test Miles, like NASCAR, but with one right turn. TestMiles.com.
You're listening to Test Miles. Find out more at testmiles.com for recent podcasts. They're available on the website. Just click on the upper right-hand corner on the button that says Podcasts. Here's a fun fact for you, and you can impress your friends with. When the car radio was introduced, some states wanted to ban it, arguing it would distract drivers and cause accidents. So Sean and I just spent the last few days of this week in Texas. We got to go down to Texas and drive a truck which has dominated not only the truck landscape, but also the car landscape, vehicle landscape, period, being the best-selling vehicle in the United States for just so long we've given up counting. The Ford F-150, and we got to drive it. We got to spend some time with it. And joining us on the phone to talk about it is Eric Peterson. Eric is the F-150 marketing manager. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for inviting us to Texas, by the way. So some pretty big shoes to fill with this new F-150.
Yeah, well, it's any F-150 is a big F-150, and you mentioned leadership. It's just for your reference, 32 years is how long it's been the best-selling vehicle of any kind, and it's really trying to anticipate the needs of our customers and provide them the best capability, the smartest, most capable type truck we can, and we certainly think we're on the mark with the new F-150.
There's definitely at least an hour's worth of material to talk about it, but it did get bigger this time around.
Yeah, it did. The track width got a little bit wider, and it actually provided even a roomier cabin interior, but you don't really feel it, because the truck is, as you probably experienced, very easy to handle, and also better sight lines out of the truck. So it did get a little bit roomier, but we'd like to think easier to handle.
Now, when we were in San Antonio with you this week, you guys didn't have fuel economy numbers. You're waiting for those, but you think it's going to be better than the previous generation?
Yeah, and the advantage, so, the whole lightweighting strategy that that we're under, getting up to about 700 pounds lighter with the use of high-strength military-grade aluminum alloy, is going to provide benefit to everybody. So every truck is going to get, between 5 to 15% better fuel economy, and that's going to be significant for every customer, not just one customer.
Now, you've lost about the size of a grizzly bear in the back there for weight, but how's that an advantage apart from fuel economy? Does it help in any other ways?
Absolutely, and that's again what's key is that it's not for a truck. It's almost a perfect solution, because in a car you're obviously going to get better drive dynamics, better fuel economy, but a truck, you take that weight out, and less weight that you're carrying around in the truck equates to more that you can do for towing and for hauling, which is what really matters to truck customers, including a best-in-class 12,200 pounds of towing.
Right, and the tech on this as well is everyday useful tech. I love the idea that now you can see 360 degrees around the vehicle.
Yeah, technology is making its way into every car, as you guys obviously know, and so it makes sense to bring that to pickup trucks as well. Our customers are living in these trucks, and it's their one vehicle, even for a high-end vehicle. So 360 camera makes perfect sense. You can not only use it for tight parking places, but say you're on a fishing trip or you're a little bit off-road, you can see what's around the corner and what's next to you. So you got that, you got a heated steering wheel, and even a class-exclusive remote release tailgate.
I love the remote release tailgate right from the key fob and the step which pulls out and the deployment bar, so you can put it down and basically get in the back. Even someone that's short like a hobbit like me can climb up into the back of the truck without any problem whatsoever. And you also illuminated the truck front, back, sides, and in the bed.
Yeah, basically everything you can touch on the truck is that military-grade aluminum alloy, and that's kind of the key change. That's what really sets it apart from everything else. There's so much in terms of technology, like you mentioned, but this lightweighting strategy that's on every vehicle, really helps, and it helps, like we talked about, not just towing and hauling, but those ride dynamics too. So, it's going to be the toughest F-150 yet. We've tested it, 10 million miles worth of testing, so it's about 2 million more miles than we've ever tested an F-150 in the past. It's got a lot to live up to get to the 33 years with the leadership, but we certainly think it's built for tough like every F-150.
So when it's on the road and you're doing long freeway driving, how's it handle on the road? Does it lose some of its stability?
No, in fact, if anything, it gains stability really, because if you think about it, taking that weight off the top actually just shifts proportionally more of the weight to the chassis. With the high strength steel frame and the motor, that's really what provides you the strength and stability. So less weight on top, actually, you'll notice it in terms of less body roll, and you'll notice it in terms of even greater confidence. When we were down there in Texas, many of the media actually remarked about the fact that it drives a little bit like a car in a complimentary way. You had a lot more feeling of command on turns where you didn't feel the truck was leaning because it's a little bit top heavy. So it, again, not only does it benefit in terms of fuel and capability, but when you get behind the wheel, that's the real advantage.
And just the final question for you, Eric. Now, you've upped the engine choices in this, too. We've finally seen EcoBoost in the F-150. Yeah,
well, we've got a new EcoBoost entry, which is fantastic. With all that downsizing of the weight of the truck, we actually can downsize the powertrains, too, and you get to experience a 2.7 EcoBoost engine. So, an engine that begins with a 2, many people think in a truck is, a question. But with 375 foot-pounds of torque and a vehicle that's 700 pounds lighter, it's more about power to weight, torque to weight. And you really can. It's a very amazing performing truck. And every person that's got behind the wheel of that truck has been impressed. And can't wait to get our customers behind the wheel as well.
Perfect. Eric, thanks so much for joining us this morning. I have to tell you, my two favorite portions of the truck are the fact that it has spotlights in the side mirrors now on the side of the truck. That is absolutely unbelievable. And I would tell you my other favorite part is now you have the park assist feature in this truck, so it will park itself into a tight parking space, which for someone who doesn't drive a truck every day like me is a godsend when you're trying to park on city streets. So great job with that. When can we see it in showrooms?
You'll be able to see it in showrooms later this year. We can't wait for people to drive it.
Absolutely. Enjoyed our time down there in Texas. Eric, thanks so much. You have yourself a great weekend.
All right, yourselves as well. Thanks for having me on.
When we return this morning on Test Miles, we're going to talk to you a little bit about what we've been driving and also our legendary news quiz. That's coming up.
Throw it in neutral and coast in with TestMiles.com.
The entire studio doing the lambada to this music. Sunday morning on FM News 101 KXL. This is Test Miles, Portland's Automotive Radio. Shout TestMiles.com. Try us on Facebook. Here's a fun fact you can impress your friends with. The first car accident happened in 1796. Brad, were you involved? It's our standard joke, by the way. Anything over 100 years old, Brad, you must have been involved somehow.
Okay, this story doesn't even make sense.
What's that?
When was the car invented?
I don't know. It was the first car accident was 1796.
It was a horse buggy.
Yeah.
It was a head-on horse buggy.
Don't you remember?
DUI.
Clearly your memory goes with age as well.
Clearly somebody who ran a stop sign.
All right, we've assembled a team of car freaks at the station to enlighten you with witty banter, useful and useless information, and fun automotive topics. Our team in studio this morning. We have a new intern. He's actually been here for a couple of weeks. Zhenya. Thanks for writing the script today, Zhenya.
You're welcome.
Sean is here.
Hello.
Did you enjoy going to the F-150?
I did enjoy the F-150. It surprised me. I wanted to really not like the truck, but
I know that's the thing with me too. I wanted to not like it because I've heard so much about it, but I kind of did.
The only thing I don't like is the enormous gear shifter that you can't even wrap your hand around.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I don't like about that truck.
But if you're wearing giant work gloves, that would be a godsend.
If I was wearing gloves, I wouldn't even be able to shift that thing. I can't fit my hand around it without gloves.
Sean Walker, tiny hands. Brad, how are you?
Yes.
I am good. I didn't spend the week going to Texas driving an F-150. I spent the week negotiating and arguing with for clients with some car insurance body shop folks. So that was actually quite fun. I enjoy that process.
You do?
Very much. They wanted to put aftermarket parts on a 1-year-old vehicle that had $7,000 worth of damage, so we had to let them know that wasn't going to happen.
You have to go to quality shops. That's the difference.
Oh, it wasn't the shop. It was the insurance company that wanted to throw the cheap stuff on.
There you go. Well, there's plenty of places that will fight for you, too. All right, time for the news quiz this week. So much has happened, and it's happening in the world of automotive. This is the part of the show where we test the in-studio crew on their knowledge of automotive news in our news quiz. So the first question, everyone ready, by the way? We're ready to go? Have your buzzers ready? Brad actually brings a real car horn in, too. So you just like...
It's from that wreck in 1970 or 17.
The Geneva Auto Show brings us a new car powered by an unusual substance. Genya.
Salt water.
That's right. What's the car?
It is the Quant East Sport Limousine by the company Quant. They made a saltwater powered fuel cell vehicle. It's supposed to have 920 horsepower, and it does 0 to 62 miles an hour in 2.8 seconds, and has a top speed of 217 miles an hour.
When you say limousine, you see Brad's eyebrows go up? Limousine? The reason that Brad is also into limousine because he also happens to work at Lucky Limousine, and anytime you mention anything limousine, town car, comfy seats...
At 2.6 seconds, I'm there.
Yeah, really. Yes, sir. Your trip to the airport will take approximately 8 seconds.
Outstanding. We can do a lot more runs that way.
Second question, who is going to use aluminum or aluminium for... Wait. Who was that, Sean?
That was me.
You beat me to it.
For an off-roader, what is it, Sean?
I just wanted to answer the question. It's going to be the famous Jeep Wrangler. Since aluminum can become so stronger, they're making it for their off-road vehicles, which we've even tested down in Ford now with the F-150.
Right. The F-150 all made of military-grade aluminum. You remember Jags? Jags were made of aluminum first? Isn't that funny? Because it's been about... 10 years probably since Jags have been made of aluminum, and I was very upset when that first happened because my antenna for my Sirius satellite radio wouldn't stick to the car. So that's when I found KXL, and I've been here ever since.
So when you hit a boulder with your off-road Jeep Wrangler, who's fixing it?
I have to tell you first of all two things. One is the frame is usually made of high-strength steel, so it's not going to make any difference, but they showed us that the new aluminum body is actually much stronger than steel. They dropped big rocks in the back of the vehicle because it's military-grade aluminum, and it's actually denser than steel. Because
that was one of my questions, being a truck and people are going to dump stuff in the truck. What about dents? I mean, I can see a Jaguar because you're not trying to off-road in a Jaguar, but a truck is a work vehicle and you dump stuff in there. But they showed us a lot of stuff, and the way they bend it and heat it, it's unbelievable. And like the fender, you could lift with one finger. I mean, it is super light.
But stronger. Military grade, there you go. Frank Sinatra's favorite Italian car company announced a new supercar in Geneva. What was it? Must be Bradley.
I got that. So, Frank and I used to hang out together. I always thought he was a Bentley guy. But his line was, if you want to be somebody, drive a Ferrari. Yeah, if you are somebody, drive a Lamborghini.
So if you buy a Ferrari, you want to be somebody.
That's right.
If you buy a Lamborghini. And I completely disagree with him.
I do too.
I do. I would have a Ferrari.
I have a feeling our friend Mark Scholes from Ferrari will disagree as well.
Yeah, no, I prefer Ferrari.
This is an 897 horsepower Asterion hybrid supercar. Now, they're showing it off at Paris. This is a little bit before. But it does unmistakably look like a Lambo up front. And it's got some of the sharp edges that make it look like a Lamborghini. So this is actually closer to production vehicle than maybe just a show car.
I heard that a lot of people don't like it.
I don't like it.
No. I think it's like, Jenny, what do you think?
I think it's a bit too tall, and I think the back end's a bit too long.
Long and tall. Oh, only if I was long and tall. How about that? The 24 Hour of Le Mans may get an old friend back. Ah! All right, no one knows the answer?
Wait.
Jenny's trying to hit his buzzer. You don't need, now I know you want to answer the question, Jenny. Go ahead.
That would be Ford with the GT. They're bringing it back after celebrating 50 years since they won Le Mans in 1964 to beat Ferrari.
Excellent. Next question. Which money bags is getting into car dealerships? Oh,
I've got this.
Bradley, go ahead.
So this is going to be an interesting deal. Warren Buffett is getting into the car dealerships. He's got companies that do planes and trains and automobiles and all that John Candy
Better
stuff.
give me my donuts.
And so I don't know if they're going to have greeters at this, but he's buying into the Van Tool Group, which is the 5th largest auto dealership group in the United States, and they have a total revenue last year of about $7 billion.
Yeah. So Warren Buffett now a car guy as well. Who would have known? Which Italian car company will not grow? Sean.
That would be Ferrari. They're announcing that they're not going to make SUVs and four-door sedans, which, thank God, they're not going to do that.
I don't know. I get excited when sports car companies do those. You know, here's a great story for you. Porsche had their Cayenne, and when they came out with their SUV, we should start there with the story. Then the new bosses wanted to get rid of the SUV because they said it wasn't a Porsche. Yet that is what floated the company financially for many years. I'm not sure it still does, but that rescued the company financially. So they sell. They make money.
But Ferrari doesn't need an SUV to help float them. I mean, they are top of the food chain for a reason.
But again, if I'm buying a Ferrari, let's say I go out and buy an FF for myself, and then my other half, my family, wants an SUV, I would be more likely to go and buy them a Ferrari SUV than I would.
Then you go over to the Maserati side because they're going to be coming out with the SUV, and they already have four-door sedans.
Yes, that is absolutely true. All right, last question this morning. The gold medalist gets a DUI and goes to rehab. Who? Brad.
I'm not sure why that one I obviously knew, but so this is Michael Phelps.
Yep.
Now, obviously, working with the limousine company and town car company, the first question I have, you have enough revenue, just get a driver. It's not that hard. But he blew a 1.4 coming home from the Horseshoe Casino, and he was in his Land Rover going 84 in a 45.
Oh, Michael Phelps, how you have disappointed us.
Apparently driving a car, he's fish out of water, right?
Yes, first it was a bong, and then it was a DUI. Michael Phelps. Still a great swimmer, but all right, there you go. All right, the news quiz this morning. Thank you, team, for knowing your car facts very well. Coming up in Test Miles, in a moment, we'll talk about what we've been driving, and we've got an amazing deal of the week for you this week. $33,000 car. I have not seen a second-hand one of these available. If you have cash and you're looking for a small luxury car, I'm going to tell you where it is, and first come, first serve, get to buy it. You're listening to KXL on FM News 101. I'm Nick Miles. This is Test Miles. Back in a moment.
It's Test Miles on FM News 101.
Sunday morning, Test Miles, FM News 101 KXL. I am Nick Miles. So what have we been driving this week? Sean, what have you been driving this week?
I had the 2015 Cadillac ATS.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it, my friend.
Four-door luxury sedan.
Yeah.
It's a nice vehicle. I mean, the only things I don't like is the interior. It's a little cheap plastic feeling where I feel like you can get into a Kia that has all soft-touch leather. Cadillac's supposed to be a luxury brand. They should have some soft-touch leather in there instead of hard plastic. But other than that, I mean, it's an awesome ride. It handles really nicely. It's a great sports sedan, great for the city, little compact as well, so it's easy to move around. The tech I love on it. I love their heads-up display because it shows everything from the radio, navigation, whatever you want. It's in the heads-up display. And it also has their lane assist where it'll vibrate your seat or your thigh if you cruise over into a lane to let you know, hey, wake up.
You know what I do? I regularly go out of my lane just so I can have the seat vibrate.
I do too, just to get that little bottom massage.
Yes,
Little
it's got a
tingling
massage when you
sensation.
drive badly.
Yeah.
Bad drivers get a massage.
I mean, it has great performance too. I was driving the 2-liter turbo, which is almost 300 horsepower. It's actually 295. It comes in a rear wheel and all-wheel drive. I like it. I give
Do
it.
you have the rear wheel or the all-wheel drive?
I believe the rear. I honest God don't know. I didn't even.
So
look.
does it have all the sharp edges and
Yeah.
the design?
Yes, it does.
Do you like that or not like it? I'm not a big fan.
I'm
of that.
starting to like it. Like I also did. This also has the new logo for Cadillac, and seeing it, I wasn't a fan until I saw it on this one because it's more of a purplish color, and it actually fits the vehicle. This is the first time I liked the new emblem on the Cadillac.
Excellent. All right, well done. How much is it?
$33,065 starting
All right.
price.
I drove the Hyundai Sonata this week, four-door mid-size family sedan. Lots of standard equipment on this vehicle, and nice interior room. I would say that the one thing that might be a little down is the rear space for taller people. Not that great, but I don't have that problem being 5'4". Comes in a 2.4 liter or a 2.0 turbo, 185 horsepower or 245 horsepower respectively. 6-speed automatic transmission. Maybe I'd like to see them do a 7 or 8-speed transmission. Front-wheel drive, 32 miles a gallon or 29 miles a gallon. Depends on which you're looking at combined. Looking at maybe 38 miles a gallon is the best you're going to get from the highway mileage. Its competition, the Ford Fusion, a Honda Accord, Toyota Camry, comes in 4 different trim levels: an SE, a Sport, an Eco. Actually 5: a Limited and Sport. Eco,
And this is the
Limited,
Optima?
Sport. This is the Hyundai Sonata.
No, but this is the Optima sister car.
Yes, the sister car is on the same frame as the Optima. Love the Blue Link tech that Hyundai have, and they have now Apple's CarPlay, which means you can plug your iPhone directly into the vehicle. Light and nimble, good car for the price, starting at $21,150, 8 out of 10 score. Also trying the Cadillac ATS, four-door luxury sports sedan. Oh, that was you, sorry, Sean. I was trying the Lexus ISF. This week, which I drove. Four-door luxury sports sedan, V6 power, top quality interior. Did not like the IS when I first saw the new version of it. Didn't like it at all. I drove the IS 250 and 350, but the F Sport package, huge difference. Now I would actually own this car. I'm finding that more and more when they come out with their sports, the versions of the car. The Cadillac, when they come out with their V Series, when Mercedes have their AMG, the M Sport for the B, I can't drive the regular car after driving those. Rear wheel or all-wheel drive, 306 horsepower. This vehicle is tough. Good mileage, 28 on the highway, 19 city, 22 combined. Really competes with the 3 Series, the Audi's A4, C-Class, Acura TLX, Infiniti Q50, and the Cadillac ATS, compared to what Sean was driving. Nice luxury trim levels in it that you can get. I will tell you that the tech has integrated stuff on the inside, but Toyota Lexus tech, their infotainment system has been lacking. Starts at $44,730. So I think those are excellent points of that car, but actually would own this now. Also wanted to tell you about the deal of the week, which Oli, who unfortunately isn't here today, had furnished us with. This is from Freeman Motors, and it is a CLA. The first time I have seen a CLA actually arrive at dealerships in a second-hand version. So this is a Mercedes-Benz. This is the 250, has 15,350 miles on it. A nice interior color, which is black. I will tell you, in the year that this CLA has been out, the company has sold 30,000 of them. It has been a huge hit for them. Totally surprised to see a CLA arriving in dealership now as a second-hand version. And they want just over $33,000 for that. So if you want to test drive it, you can go to Freeman Motors and do that. That's our deal of the week. I'm off on Tuesday to the Rolls-Royce Ghost Series 2 launch, and I'm looking down my itinerary here. I'm going to Dallas to drive the car. There is no driving involved. It's I arrive, I get taken in the back of the Rolls-Royce, go to dinner, go to a presentation, go to a spa, go to an evening event with it, all in the back of the car. And I'm wondering whether I'll actually get to ride it. You'll have to tune in next week to find out.
I don't think anybody drives a Rolls. They just
That's
ride
exactly
it.
Somebody
right.
has to.
No, that's your chauffeur.
Yeah, I get to as the chauffeur.
Are you coming with me to drive me around, Brad?
I should, yes.
Thanks for listening to Test Miles. More at the website, testmiles.com, or on Facebook. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.
Test Miles, like NASCAR, but with one right turn. TestMiles.com.